Good morning, YouTube audience. I'm Jennifer Norrie, and I'm here with Dr. Lee Sullivan. How are you? Dr. Lee?
I'm good. How are you doing, Jennifer?
I'm good. You look like you've gotten some sun since I last saw you.
It's been sunny here. Yes.
Very much. I know we are
Yes.
in full
Yes.
swing with summer in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
So today we're sort of continuing our conversation from last time, only digging a little deeper. We're going to talk about the hidden impact of trauma on firefighters and their families. So we talked about the fact that there is stress and there is trauma last time, and this is more like, how is it affecting their families? And I definitely want to spend time on the tools and the solutions, not just the problem. So, and the questions kind of work us through that. So,
Okay.
are you good with that?
I'm great. Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
so let me show the first question. So, how does firefighter stress affect marriages? So, assuming that there is firefighter stress and trauma, how does it affect marriages, partnerships, and families and kids? I would say too.
Mm-hmm. First, I just want to say I'm so grateful that we're doing this subject for September, especially. That seems to be like the beginning of the timeline. The school year starts in September here in the United States, and it's great to have a focus on families because they really are the backbone of a firefighter, of every first responder, and that's not just cliche, that's reality. So the stress that occurs for a firefighter doesn't just stay at the station, it comes home with them. And even if they're not talking, even if they're withdrawing or isolating and trying to take care of themselves alone, it still lingers. It sticks on them. And the partner at home, the intimate partners, and the children, they sense it. Even if they don't say anything, they really sense it. And they can partners oftentimes report to me, I know how when he takes off his Kevlar, like that would be for a law enforcement officer, when he comes in the door and sets down his gear bag for a firefighter, I know the sound of that and what kind of day it's going to be or what kind of night he had at work. And so the family oftentimes senses it, but it's often common that no one is talking about it. Everyone sort of leaves it alone and tries to give it space. This stress, when I say it, I mean the stress, they try to leave it alone, hoping that the silence will make it better. And we just know that it doesn't. It really doesn't.
No,
It
it makes
builds
it
up.
worse.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it
is there
makes it
ever a
worse.
time that they wouldn't throw their bag down and have had an exhausting evening?
Is there any time that they
Yeah.
would
Is
do
there any
that?
time when they wouldn't have had a difficult night? Are there nights where they don't get called on a fire and they are just at the station with their buddies, or is that pretty rare?
I think even in the smaller districts where it's might be running one or two calls or maybe no calls through the night,
Mm-hmm.
uh, no one is sleeping restfully at a fire station because tones can go off at any time. And in fact, oftentimes in some stations, you hear tones going off for the entire district, and you have to just listen for your tone that makes sense for your station, whether or not you're getting called. And so
Interesting.
it's so disruptive, that sleep. And so they just might be fatigued. They just might be flat out
Mm-hmm.
tired and worn out. You know, they've drilled that morning. They've done a rig wash, rig checks. They have, yeah, they can hang out and eat some good food with their buddies, but the adrenaline and the nervous system is always on because you're waiting for those tones to drop.
Mm-hmm.
And for a firefighter, as soon as those tones drop, as you hear your station's tones,
Mm-hmm.
you're on and you're out the door. So your nervous system really doesn't relax. Even when you're sleeping at night at the fire station, you're not resting.
It makes sense. Yeah, you couldn't fully let go because you might have to wake up and be in gear at any moment, like out the
Right.
door. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Exactly.
And in a life-threatening situation and in saving other people's lives. And so it's not like you can mess that up. Like, you got to be on, right?
Yeah.
So, wow.
Exactly.
So, So given that that's the situation, and we know that there's stress and trauma and stored trauma, right? So what changes can firefighters make at home to combat that stress? So I love how you paint the picture of throwing the bag on the floor, and the partner and the family knows, oh, it's a good day for dad or not a good day for dad or mom. They probably stress out when they know it's been a bad day. But what kinds of things can they do to combat that stress going on?
Well, recovery, it should really be as intentional as response at the station. So, for example, a firefighter will prepare their boots, they'll prepare their bunker gear, all for a call. And they oftentimes sit them outside the rig so that they can just jump in their boots, pull their bunks up, put on whatever other gear that they need to run to that call. They're prepared for a call. I think oftentimes first responders and firefighters are not prepared for the transition home. And so I really recommend developing some sort of transition that between work and home. And that might be,
like a proactive thing that you do.
Right, exactly. When we change our environment, we might change our work shoes, we might change our shirt. That physical, tactile change can start to reset your mind for I'm transitioning into home life now, and the home me gets to come forward. You might take a short walk. You might sit in your car and do some meditation or prayer. You might listen to some music, some ritual. It kind of doesn't matter what it is. And it can be 5 minutes. Seriously, it can be really short, but some sort of ritual transformation that sort of tells your whole body, I'm leaving work at work and I'm coming home now. That ritual is research shows that that's the most important thing, just doing the same thing every time.
That's interesting. And not a difficult thing to do.
Not difficult at all. I think when a lot of times firefighters kind of expect their partner maybe to read their mind. And I don't want to sound rude, but it's sort of this expectation of my partner already knows I worked a 24, 48, maybe 72-hour shift. And so I expect them to know, give me space, give me time, whatever that looks like. But actually, when that first responder can tell their partner at home, here's what I need when I come off shift. Or even, for firefighters, here's what I need today, because every shift looks different. There's the same pattern, there's the same routine. However, the intricacies of that wildly change from shift to shift. And so, hey, here's what I need today. Just a little check-in. And I don't mean, here's the checklist of what I need. I need you to keep the kids back. I need to go work out by myself. I need alone time. I don't mean the checklist. I mean, here's what I emotionally need. I need to know that, man, however I walk in the door, I'm going to be good enough for you. That however I present today, that when I reach for you for support, that you're going to be there for me. I mean, primal attachment needs. That's what I mean by communicate your need to your partner.
So simple, isn't it? And crazy. Yeah. And so you've kind of already answered it, but the next question is, how are marriages and partnerships and, relationships with family affected? They are affected. And, you're explaining these tools, but one thing you mentioned that was interesting to me is partners probably sense in our silence like they need to stay away, when really the opposite is true, where they need to sense, talk about it, and move closer, probably, if if that person is ready for that. But so now can we click this next one here? So what can you talk about kids a little bit? Talk about friendships? Because I know we focus so much on, obviously, what if they're single or they have a kid at home that they're taking care of, or how does this stuff affect children? And I know kids tend to blame everything on themselves. So like, does that go on? And then how can they address that?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the kids of firefighters, from what I hear, first of all, there's not a ton of research on what the kids experience for first responder families. There's starting to be increases on the family as a unit, but there's not a ton of research on what children experience. I can say from my personal experiences, I can tell you friends and family that I've lived up close with. I can tell you from my counseling office, and what I've been told is that these children, they feel it. Mom or dad's off, right? Not, and I mean off, like not even physically, or I'm sorry, mentally and emotionally here with us now. Their feet are here, but their emotions are somewhere else. And so oftentimes kids tend to pull away from, they'll do one of two responses. They'll pull away from that and kind of get quiet on their own, or just go play on their own. And it could be because they're told, get out of here, go play or something. Or they might act out. They might act a little naughty. They might get a little ornery once mom or dad comes home. And really, that's just a cry for, I need you. I need more of you. I missed you this whole time. I didn't see you. I'm told you're a hero, but I didn't see it for myself. And a lot of folks keep their families away from the firehouse. Sometimes they'll bring kids in to go climb on the engine or the ladder truck or something fun for the kids, but they don't actually, of course, see what a scene is like. And so even partners at home, I think there's a protection that happens. Firefighters often will not share the details of their day and the calls that they've experienced. They're trying to protect their partner from the horror and the evil that's actually out there. And so they oftentimes shut down or withdraw from that partner. They look closed down. That's what it looks like, but it's actually a way to protect their spouse, so that their spouse doesn't get traumatized. Also, who wants to relive that at home? Right? Like,
Right.
like, why would I want to tell you the worst part of my day? Oh, by the way, can I just do a little PSA here for anybody listening to this? Please never ask a first responder what the worst thing they've seen is. Please, just, can we stop doing that? Why we don't do that in any other area of life? It's so insulting. So it's awful to say, hey, let me ask you to recall the most traumatic thing that you've experienced. That's horrible.
Yeah.
So there is a protection, right? That both ways. It protects both sides of the fence. It protects the first responder saying, I don't really want to relive this, and especially maybe not when it's fresh. And I'm going to protect you. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm going to protect you, my spouse, from hearing or imaging.
And no, it's that season.
I'm sorry, Jennifer. I'm going to protect you from knowing, imagining this gruesome thing that I went through, this traumatic thing. So oftentimes on the on the receiving end of that, the partners experience it as that protection as emotional shutdown. They might even experience it as emotional abandonment. And so it can really cause some rifts between couples.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking as I'm listening to you is that we almost need to go back to the ABCs of this, and teaching people the language of trauma and stress and PTSD, and like if they don't even have the language to talk about what they're experiencing, how are they going to express it, right? And certainly
Right.
children don't have that language. So I can really see why it would be so necessary to have someone like you, and I'm sure that's part of what the chaplain does, and you would know more from your experience, but so important to have someone like you that speaks the language that you speak of mental health in these firehouses, or at least a training where they're learning the language of, oh, this is, I had a level 5 night tonight, or I had a level 3, or whatever that language is that I know that you have, that you teach.
Yeah.
Because you can't even really do the things you're talking about until you know how to come home and say, you know, and communicate. And I
Right.
don't even know for sure that they would use the word trauma, because a lot of people and men in general, and, that tough side thing that goes on, do they really even call it trauma? Or, certainly not using the words PTSD or whatever. So
Mm.
anyway, and then I also think, just as an outsider here, of the volunteers that come in that aren't professionally trained, that are just trying to do
Mm.
good for the neighborhood, and how are
Mm.
they affected? And so anyway, I just
Right.
really see what a necessary thing it is that you do in giving them the language of this. And I'm sure you're constantly teaching that language, I would think, aren't you?
It's it's so funny when I go into a fire station and I work with anybody, whether it's a peer support team, whether it's working
Mm-hmm.
with the executive leadership, whoever I'm working with, how I conduct myself, the language that I use is
Mm-hmm.
100% attachment based.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is just attachment's the clinical language for connection. How do we connect
Right.
one human to another?
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, largely what I do looks like conversation. But what I'm doing is I'm attaching them not to myself, but to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, all the attachment science, which you and I talk about a lot, it's it's widely accepted now that so in other words, it's not disputed any longer. Uh, the attachment research shows us that we first find safety and security with another person. It
Mm-hmm.
could be our caregiver, it could be mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever raised us. We first find security and safety with them. And then that informs the lens that we look at life through that says, oh, the world must be a safe place. And therefore, I am safe. I am secure. That's the linear order of attachment and security and safety. So
Mm-hmm.
I know here in America, we have this old wives' tale. It's untrue. This narrative that says, I can do it on my own. I can pull myself up by my own bootstraps. I can feel safe and secure when I'm by myself. And first responders are notorious for this. They all think, hey, when I come home off a really bad shift or a really difficult day,
Right.
I'm going to go off in isolation. I'm going to repair myself, and then I can come back and feel better and more engaged with my family.
Mm-hmm.
The science shows us that it's so much more effortful to re-engage with that family when you've been on your own. Let me say that in the inverse. You will settle faster when you are with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes absolutely contrary to what we believe here in the US. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just untrue. According to science, it's just
Mm-hmm.
untrue. And so part of what I'm trying to do is change this big system, change this narrative of culture, which is inaccurate according to science.
Yeah. Yeah.
And helping first responders realize, hey, if I'm really escalated from work, the fastest way for me to slow down, the fastest way for me to feel comfortable around my family again and
Mm-hmm.
be all of myself is actually with a safe, loving partner. It might be 2 minutes. It might just be, hey, honey, can we just sit on the bed and close the door so the kids and the dog don't come in? And just reassure me that home is secure for me, that this, like my feet are planted on solid ground again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it sounds super simple and silly. Um, it's not silly, but it is super simple in that
Mm-hmm.
regard. And I think that oftentimes first responders try to go to the fix. Like, I need a good workout. I need a good breakfast. I need alone quiet time, and then I
Mm-hmm.
can make my way back to my family.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which is
but the
really
science,
not the
yeah,
best way to regulate from stress and trauma.
not at
Yeah, I
all.
love that you talked about the science too, and because we know so we hear so much in our culture about what children need, not as much as what adults need and the connection they need. And
Yeah,
so you've really answered our question, and they're so simple. I mean, none of this is like take your book out, study chapter 8. It's like go sit in
right,
the bed and connect with your partner.
right.
Go hug your child and tell them everything's going to be okay, or share a part of a story that teaches them what it is that they do, because I'm sure mystery and not knowing probably makes that more, in a child's eyes, more not gory or scary or whatever. But I'm
Hmm.
sure there's ways to figure out as a firefighter and a family, how can I just share parts of this that won't traumatize my kid, but will let them know what daddy or mommy's doing when they're not home,
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just very, very simple. It's just very striking to me how simple it is.
It's, and I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question like somebody who's single. Um, Text a friend, ask a friend, hey, can I check in with you? Can you be my safe partner to talk through it? The crazy thing is, you don't have to talk through the details of your difficult day or
No.
difficult
Mm-hmm.
call,
Mm-hmm.
just to say, hey man, this really shook me today. And I don't want to re-traumatize myself. I certainly don't want to traumatize you by sharing you this. Just
Mm-hmm.
know it was shitty. Just know it was a fucking bad day.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just even saying that, anybody listening doesn't have to hear the details.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
if they
No.
want to, it might be
Yeah.
more about them than you,
Mm-hmm.
to be
Yeah.
honest.
So,
Um,
so you combat the damage to the relationships with these tools that you're talking about, and you protect what's good. So that's our next question: is how can firefighters protect their marriages and partnerships from firefighter stress and breakdown in connection? And really, I think you've explained it without meaning to, but it's those simple tools you've described. And I think one of the things I've heard today that was very powerful is overcoming the silence of not talking about the bad day. And I
mm,
love that you shared you don't have to share the details of it to get the support you need. Like, don't
mm,
ignore it with silence, acknowledge it. But that doesn't mean you have to sit down with the kids and the partner say, hey, let me tell you what happened tonight. I mean, you probably don't
yeah,
want to talk about it anyway, I would think, if it was really
yeah,
traumatic. So
yeah,
yeah, so it's just there are some ways to preserve. So can you tell us, I know that some of these tools are so natural to you the way you talk about them. I know they're also in your book. So can you
yes,
pull out
mm,
your book and show us
yes.
where, and maybe just tell us about the book in general first.
Sure. So Cover My Six, a comprehensive guide to firefighter care. I wrote it specifically for the red line for
Mhm,
firefighters,
mhm,
career and volunteer. And actually, any EMS is going to understand the language that I use here. It's built complete, or it's designed completely from inside a firehouse. So this isn't me as a clinician understanding it clinically, but understanding it from a firehouse behind the door, and also on scene as a fire chaplain for a handful of years. So in chapter 20, I talk about emotionally focused therapy. And don't let that scare you, the therapy word. Um, it really just speaks about attachment, the science of attachment. It can even give partners an understanding because I wrote the book specifically for the firefighter partner. I didn't write it, I couldn't write it with both in mind. Now, apart because it just doesn't work when you're an author. You have to have a very specific audience.
mhm,
So I wrote it for the firefighter. However, an intimate partner at home is going to really understand, especially that chapter on attachment and why their role is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, I want to be careful here. Oftentimes, when we talk about partners or families of first responders, we speak to them as if they play a supportive only backseat role. We give
Yeah.
words to them and say you are so important, you're the backbone, but in reality we pretty much relegate them to the back seat. And we
Mm-hmm.
tell them, hey, whatever your first responder needs, you need to provide it for them. Your needs go on the back burner always. And I think that's BS. I don't think that's true at all. I think that actually the best thing is for us to share the front burner and take turns. I think that that is what works. And like I said, you can learn a language. EFT, that whole chapter speaks about the language of how partners can begin to speak at home about their underlying needs and not just surface negotiations. So a negotiation would be, hey, when you come in the door, here's the protocol of how you're going to re-enter home. Your spouse at home is going to give you 30 minutes to go be by yourself, and then you are going to come back and you're going to have breakfast with the whole family, whatever. It's like a negotiation of a checklist. And the way you know you're in a negotiation with your partner is you start talking about tasks. If you do this, I can do that. When you do this, I will do that. When we talk about tasks or behaviors, then we're in a negotiation as a partnership. And I'm just telling you, negotiations are short term. They're short lived. They will not take a first responder or a firefighter through retirement. That's why we see so many remarriages, so many divorces. It's just sad because oftentimes couple care is all about negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's short lived. And so, what we
Mm-hmm.
need to do is learn how to express our deep needs, both partners, and in a way that says, you matter. I see you. You're important to me. I'm going to be there for you when you call to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it answers that question. Will you be there when I call for you? When I need you, will you be there? And so that chapter 20, even though it's titled Emotionally Focused Therapy,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that to scare anybody. Read the chapter.
Yeah, no, don't be afraid of the language. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so it's really about two whole people that both have needs and have the ability to say no.
that's right.
Yes, I can be there for you, but not right now.
That's
And
right.
so then I can be present as a whole person, not just an appendage to your mission as a firefighter, right? And
That's right.
just so does not work, right? And I can see why that there's that if you go with kind of what we look at traditionally in our culture of marriage and partnership, there's kind of that person out there saving the world and then the one at home taking all the brunt and raising the kids and feeding the dog. And that would just never sustain. I can see how that would just never sustain.
It
So
doesn't sustain. Yeah.
yeah, but you have to proactively learn a new language, and you have to
Yes.
do these new different things that are not difficult. That's my theme for today. What I've learned is that none of this, I mean, yes, I think the book supports all these things you're sharing, and I'm sure I'll find these tools in that book, but none of this is rocket science. It's
Right.
simple changes in
Right.
human behavior, and some of it is undoing what our culture has taught us, what parenting and marriage looks like, but
Right.
and partnership looks like. So anyway, just love this stuff. It's so fun to speak with you again.
Can
Oh,
I
yeah,
add one thing, Jennifer?
yeah.
So, it's not difficult, and yet it's the scariest thing in the whole world for us to do
Mm,
is to be truly vulnerable. Because if I'm vulnerable with this person that holds all the power to say whether I'm worthy, whether I'm safe, whether I'm secure, if I expose myself to them and they fail me. They let me down. And that happens in a moment, in an instant. They turn away. Then all of a sudden, my whole world is shattered and I don't know that I'm safe. I don't know that I'm secure or worthy or valuable. And so it's 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 a bind to say, I need you. I need to be enough. I need to be important, because that very person that we're exposing ourselves to has the key to rejecting us. And so it is the scariest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
It's simple and it's so scary.
And yet intimidating and difficult. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And isn't that true of so much of life?
Yeah, right.
Much of the things we need to do are not complicated.
But I would say every firefighter has learned, instead of running away, they say this all the time, they run toward the thing, the scary thing that everyone else runs away from. So I want to say, as we're talking about families and intimate partners at home, run toward the thing that's scary for you. It's scary to be vulnerable. Run toward that. You do it at work. I know you can do it at home.
Who would run in a building on fire? Hello. You know, so it's kind of like you got to run in the building on fire at home until it's not as difficult.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
good stuff. So I have a QR code here on the screen. And if you scan that code, anybody watching this now or later, it will take you to the page where you can purchase Lee's book. And so, and she does have 2 books. She has the one she was showing you today, the Cover My Six, and then she also has a workbook that goes with this book called the Playbook. Is it Cover My Six, the Playbook, right?
Yes. It's right behind me. You want me to grab it so I can show people? Right. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Here it is.
So is that something that you can benefit from if you take your training, or is it something you can do at home?
This is meant to be a standalone peer support training. So they don't need Lee. They can do it on their own. And it's also a workbook, basically. I said playbook because I hate the thought of work. So so yes, there's a chapter. I'm sorry. In each chapter, there's a teach, and then there is a where you go and you do some self-reflection, and then you partner up and you do a practice with partners, and then you come back to a roundtable discussion. Anybody can lead this. I've written it with prompts. Here's what the leader should say. Here's some ideas. It is a push and play program. Yep. It's fantastic.
Yes. Yes. Well, good. I'm glad that it's out there, and we want to get it available to more people. So if you're interested in it, occasionally we will offer the Kindle version for free. So you can do the audio version or the Audible for free. And but the hardback, and is there a trade too? There's a softback as well on Amazon.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
There's
this
both,
book,
right? Yeah.
Yep. Both.
Yeah, so there's a variety of pricing options there. If you or someone you know would benefit from having Lee speak at their station or community center or wherever, Lee wants to be available to that. Dr. Lee has experience training out of her materials and really probably could do the topic of choice of any of these, these topics. So please contact her. She can be reached at drleesullivan.com, and I'll put that up on the screen really quick. There's a place for you to read about her book, her training, how to reach her. And, Lee would love to speak with you, even if you're not sure if it's relevant. So thank you, Dr. Lee. It's always good to see you and hear from you. And I just love this topic. And I think it's so relevant, not just for firefighters and first responders, but for our culture in general. So
yes,
really good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer.